1 million is not what it used to be, but here's what 99% of people don't understand. You don't earn $1 million. You psychologically evolve into someone who makes $1 million. Most people think wealth creation is about finding the right opportunity, the perfect business model, or having enough capital to start. But after studying thousands of entrepreneurs and analyzing the neuroscience behind wealth creation, I've discovered something profound. Making your first million is 90% psychology and only 10% strategy. Today, I'm breaking down the exact psychological framework behind going from 0 to 1 million, including the 3 distinct mental phases that separate millionaires from everyone else, and why most people quit right before the exponential breakthrough happens. This isn't about business tactics, investment strategies, or entrepreneurial tips. This is about completely rewiring your brain for exponential wealth creation. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly which psychological phase you're in, and more importantly, how to evolve to the next level. Welcome back to The Wealth Mind, where psychology meets prosperity. The journey to 1 million follows a predictable psychological pattern that's been validated across cultures, industries, and time periods. After analyzing hundreds of entrepreneurs, studying behavioral economics research, and examining the mindset shifts that create lasting wealth, I've identified exactly why some people break through while others stay stuck forever. The difference isn't intelligence, luck, connections, or even strategy. It's how your brain processes the 3 distinct phases of wealth creation. These phases represent fundamental shifts in how you think, how you process risk, how you handle uncertainty, and how you measure progress. Most people never make it past phase 1 because they don't understand that what feels like failure is actually psychological conditioning. They think something is wrong when everything is actually going exactly as it should. Let me show you the psychology behind each phase, and more importantly, how to use this knowledge to accelerate your journey to 1 million. Phase 1 is what I call chaos psychology. This is where your brain is fighting against everything you're trying to build, and it's the most psychologically demanding phase of the entire journey. The psychology of phase 1. Your brain hates uncertainty more than anything else. For the first 1-2 years, you're essentially asking your mind to operate without the dopamine rewards it's been conditioned to expect. No steady paycheck, no clear progress markers, no social validation, and worst of all, no predictable timeline for success. Your brain is designed to keep you alive, not to make you wealthy. For millions of years, uncertainty meant danger, and danger meant death. So when you start building something from scratch, every fiber of your being is programmed to resist this path and guide you back to safety, which means back to employment, back to predictability, back to the psychological comfort of knowing exactly what you'll earn each month. The learning brain versus the survival brain. This creates an internal war between 2 parts of your psychology. Your survival brain is constantly screaming, "Get a job. This isn't working. You're running out of money. Everyone thinks you're crazy. You're wasting your time." Meanwhile, your learning brain is absorbing massive amounts of new information, developing new skills, and slowly building the neural pathways that will eventually create wealth. Most people listen to the survival brain because it's louder, more urgent, and more emotionally compelling. The learning brain is quiet, patient, and doesn't provide immediate emotional relief. This is why 90% of people quit during phase 1. They mistake the voice of their survival brain for the voice of wisdom. Why 90% quit here? The psychological pain of uncertainty becomes greater than the psychological pleasure of potential wealth. Your brain literally cannot see the future rewards, so it focuses entirely on immediate discomfort. Every day that passes without significant progress feels like evidence that you should quit. But here's what most people don't understand. This psychological discomfort is not a sign that you're failing, it's a sign that you're rewiring your brain for wealth creation. The discomfort you feel is literally your neurons reorganizing themselves to think like an entrepreneur instead of an employee. The valley of disappointment. This is the psychological gap between your expectations and reality. When you start, your brain creates a linear expectation of progress. You expect that if you work hard for 6 months, you'll see 6 months worth of results. But wealth creation doesn't work linearly. It works exponentially. So after 6 months of enormous effort with minimal results, your brain interprets this as failure. You expected to be here, but you're actually here. This gap between expectation and reality is where most people's psychology breaks down. They think something is wrong, when actually everything is going exactly as it should. The rejection psychology. In phase 1, you will face more rejection than most people experience in their entire lives. You'll send 100 emails and get 2 responses. You'll make 50 sales calls and close 0 deals. You'll post content for months with almost no engagement. Your brain interprets each rejection as personal failure, but millionaire psychology reframes rejection as market research. Every no is giving you information about your offer, your audience, or your approach. But your brain has to be trained to see rejection this way. Most people's psychology cannot handle this level of rejection, so they quit before they collect enough data to succeed. Millionaire psychology secret. Number 1, successful people train their brain to find satisfaction in learning and building, not just earning. They literally rewire their reward system to get dopamine from progress, not just profit. Instead of measuring success by money earned, they measure success by skills developed, systems built, and problems solved. This psychological shift is crucial because in phase 1, you won't make much money, but you'll develop the psychological foundation that makes all future wealth possible. You're not just building a business, you're building a millionaire brain. The volume psychology. In phase 1, your perfectionist brain wants to create the perfect product, write the perfect email, or find the perfect customer. But millionaire psychology embraces volume over perfection. Send 100 DMs to get 1 response. Make 100 posts to get 1 customer. Create 100 pieces of content to find one that resonates. Your brain learns that rejection is data, not defeat. Each no brings you closer to yes. Each failure teaches you something that success never could. This volume approach completely rewires how your brain processes setbacks and creates psychological resilience that most people never develop. The identity psychology. Perhaps most importantly, phase 1 is where your brain slowly shifts from employee identity to entrepreneur identity. Employees think in terms of hours worked and immediate compensation. Entrepreneurs think in terms of value created and delayed gratification. This identity shift is painful because you're literally killing off parts of your old self. The part of you that needs immediate validation, the part that needs predictable income, the part that needs social approval. All of these psychological patterns have to die for millionaire psychology to emerge. Most people can't handle this identity death, so they retreat back to employee psychology where they feel safe and understood. But those who push through this psychological metamorphosis emerge with a completely different relationship to money, risk, and success. Phase 2 is linear growth psychology. This is where your brain finally experiences the psychological breakthrough it's been craving. You can actually see cause and effect. The traction brain. For the first time in your entrepreneurial journey, your brain can connect effort to results in a predictable way. You put in work, money comes out. You improve your system, results improve. You hire someone, capacity increases. This creates a profound psychological shift because your brain finally has evidence that this crazy path actually works. This is the moment when your survival brain stops fighting you and starts supporting you. Instead of sabotaging your efforts with doubt and fear, your brain begins to optimize for growth. You stop asking, will this work? And start asking, how can I make this work better? But phase 2 comes with its own psychological challenges that most people don't anticipate. The system psychology. Your brain shifts from chaos thinking to systems thinking. In phase 1, you were reacting to problems as they came up. In phase 2, you start anticipating problems and building systems to prevent them. This requires a fundamental shift in how your brain processes information. Instead of thinking about today's tasks, you start thinking about next month's processes. Instead of solving individual problems, you start building solutions that solve entire categories of problems. This systems thinking is what separates business owners from self-employed people, but it requires psychological discipline that most people never develop. The control psychology. This is where most people's psychology gets severely tested. For the past year or two, you've been in complete control of everything in your business. You made every decision, handled every customer, solved every problem. Your brain has become addicted to this level of control because control feels safe. But phase 2 requires you to give up control to gain scale. You have to hire people who will never care about your business as much as you do. You have to delegate tasks to people who won't do them exactly the way you would. You have to trust systems instead of just trusting yourself. The hiring psychology. Most entrepreneurs fail at hiring not because they can't find good people, but because their psychology can't handle the transition from doing everything themselves to managing other people's work. Your brain has to shift from "I'll do it myself to make sure it's done right" to "I'll build systems and train people so it gets done right without me." This psychological shift is terrifying because you're essentially betting your business on other people's competence and commitment. Many entrepreneurs unconsciously sabotage this process by micromanaging, not delegating real authority, or taking back tasks when employees don't perform them perfectly. Millionaire psychology understands that initial drops in quality and efficiency are the price you pay for future scalability. Your brain has to accept that temporary step backwards in order to take massive steps forward later. The reinvestment psychology. This might be the hardest psychological test of phase 2. You're finally making decent money, probably more than you ever made as an employee, and every instinct in your brain wants to spend it on improving your lifestyle. Your survival brain says, "You've been sacrificing for 2 years. You deserve that nice car, that better apartment, those expensive dinners. You've earned it." But millionaire psychology practices extreme delayed gratification. Every dollar that comes in gets reinvested into growth, not lifestyle improvement. This requires psychological discipline that goes against millions of years of human evolution. We're wired to enjoy rewards immediately, not to delay gratification for theoretical future benefits. But those who master this psychology in phase 2 set themselves up for exponential wealth creation in phase 3. The competition psychology. In phase 2, your brain finally understands the game you're playing. You can see competitors, understand market dynamics, analyze customer behavior, and make strategic decisions instead of just reacting to whatever crisis appeared today. This is both exciting and overwhelming. Exciting because you finally feel like you know what you're doing. Overwhelming because you realize how much you still don't know and how sophisticated your competitors really are. Your brain has to develop what I call competitive confidence, the ability to compete aggressively while staying focused on your own growth rather than getting distracted by what everyone else is doing. The cash flow psychology. Phase 2 is where you experience your first taste of real financial freedom. Not wealth yet, but freedom. You can pay your bills without stress. You can make purchases without checking your bank account. You can invest in your business without risking your rent money. This psychological shift from scarcity to adequacy is profound. Your brain starts to believe that financial success is actually possible, but it also creates a dangerous psychological trap. Many people get comfortable in phase 2 because it feels so much better than phase 1. The optimization psychology. In phase 2, your brain becomes obsessed with optimization. You want to improve every metric, streamline every process, and squeeze every bit of efficiency out of your systems. This is productive to a point, but it can become a psychological trap that prevents you from reaching phase 3. Millionaire psychology recognizes that optimization can become a form of sophisticated procrastination. Instead of making big, risky moves that could lead to exponential growth, you spend time making small improvements to existing systems. It feels productive, but it keeps you in linear growth instead of exponential growth. Psychological trap alert. Many people get psychologically comfortable in phase 2 because it feels successful compared to the chaos of phase 1. You have a functioning business, steady income, and a team of people helping you. Your brain interprets this as success and resists the uncertainty required to reach phase 3. But linear growth will never create true wealth. A 200 per year business is nice, but it won't make you rich. The real wealth, the life-changing, generational wealth, happens in phase 3. And reaching phase 3 requires another psychological evolution that many people resist because phase 2 feels good enough. Phase 3 is exponential psychology. This is where your brain learns to think in multiples, not additions. The scaling brain. Your psychology shifts from "how do I work harder" to "how do I work smarter." You stop thinking about individual sales and start thinking about systems that generate sales. The asymmetric risk psychology. Millionaire brains understand that small inputs can create massive outputs. Instead of linear thinking, more work equals more money, you develop exponential thinking. Better systems equals exponential results. The magnetic psychology. Your brain stops chasing customers and starts attracting them. This isn't just strategy, it's a complete psychological transformation from scarcity thinking to abundance thinking. The wealth acceleration effect. In phase 3, 90% of your wealth gets created. Your brain finally understands the difference between working in your business versus working on your business. The evolution psychology. Every 5 years, successful people psychologically reinvent themselves. They don't just grow existing businesses, they evolve into entirely new levels of thinking. The compound psychology. Your brain learns that wealth creation is not about the money you make this year, it's about building assets that generate money for decades. So how do you psychologically prepare for this journey? Phase 1, psychology preparation. Train your brain to measure progress differently. Instead of tracking money, track learning milestones. Instead of seeking external validation, build internal conviction. Phase 2, psychology preparation. Develop systems thinking. Your brain needs to shift from task completion to system optimization. Every action should build towards scalable processes. Phase 3, psychology preparation. Start thinking in leverage and multiplication. Train your brain to ask, how can I build this once and benefit forever? Instead of, how can I work harder? The psychological timeline. Phase 1 takes 1. 2 years of psychological conditioning. Phase 2 takes 2. 3 years of psychological validation. Phase 3 is where exponential wealth creation happens. The meta psychology. The real secret is that making 1 million isn't about the money, it's about becoming the type of person whose psychology naturally creates million-dollar outcomes. The psychology of making 1 million is really the psychology of becoming someone completely different than who you are today. Your current psychology created your current financial situation. If you want different results, you need different psychology. Most people never make 1 million because they never develop millionaire psychology. They keep thinking like employees while trying to build like entrepreneurs. The 3 phases aren't just business phases, they're psychological evolution phases. Each one requires you to think differently, act differently, and literally rewire your brain for wealth creation. Which phase psychology are you developing right now? Let me know in the comments. If this psychological framework resonates with your wealth building journey, subscribe to The Wealth Mind. We decode the psychology behind every level of financial success. Next week, why rich people think differently, the neuroscience of wealth creation. Until then, start evolving your psychology.